Hello, thank you for introduction, Mariusz, and thank you for invitation. My name is Robert, and I will be talking about monetization and some specific case of implementation of interstitials to existing game. So it might be your case that you can use it. So let's jump in. Yeah, you can ask questions on Slido. So let's start into this case. So basically, like I split the presentation into 4 parts. So in the first part, I will tell who we are and what we are doing and what product we are going to talk about today. The second part is how, why. So I will explain the reasoning standing behind the decision of implementation interstitials in this time. Third part is the how. So I will guide you through the details, how we did it with the examples of the placement and stuff like that, and the outcome. So I will share some results, some numbers, so we can see how it worked for us. Let's jump in. So what? So Reality Games, probably some of you already know the company. Founded in 2015 in London. Currently headquarters is in Krakow. We have more than 60 people on board and growing. Regarding portfolio, we have few games already published. Basically, there are 2 main projects. Landlord Tycoon from 2015 and Landlord GO from 2020. So they are geo-location based games when the real world properties are mapped into the game. So for example, when you open the game in this building, you will find the Google campus and you can buy the shares of this property and you can then earn rent on it, of course, in the game. So it's pretty cool. And there's one more project which development already started. So basically, we are currently working on the game, which is based on IP of the probably most popular board game in the world, Monopoly. We already started working on it. We expect to release it next year, and basically, it's the biggest project in company history, of course. And the whole team is pretty excited about it, including me. It's about portfolio. Short note about me. Yeah, I'm Robert, head of monetization for Reality Games since last year. I'm taking care for IP and monetization, so both areas. Last time, my hobbies are bouldering, so basically just climbing, but not too high. That's why I like it. And also food, all kind of food. Let's take a look at the project I'm going to talk about. This is Landlord GO, released in 2020, over 6 million downloads so far. Regarding monetization model, we are monetizing the game on the IAP and ads. This is 70% for IAP, but still ads are very important for us. And when it comes to the ads, we monetizing on the rewarded video placements. Basically there are few examples of rewarded video implementation, but we basically have more than 10 placements of rewarded video that are existing in the game since the release. They are incorporated into game core loop. So basically we are very happy with their performance, but you can ask the question why we would do something like that, introducing interstitials, since the rewarded video are working well. So I will give you the answer with some charts. So in Q1 this year, we decided to optimize further rewarded video, make some optimizations for the placements, for the configs. So as you can see here on the chart, we can see two basic metrics describing the rewarded video activity: use rate and engagement rate. So as you can see, we've been pretty successful with the changes, and the trend is really positive. And if we look at the numbers, it's also looking pretty nice, especially the use rate, which is number of ads watched per active user who is watching the rewarded videos. It's 16, so it's kind of impressive. But here is the question: what happened with the second part, which is eCPM, which is like cost, like revenue per one impression. So here's the question for you. Like, please raise your hand if you think that eCPM stayed on the same level or grown in this period. Okay, and please raise your hand if you think that eCPM dropped. Okay. Yes, so this is like the second screen of the eCPM. So I see like that you might know what I'm talking about. So yeah, like basically like we've been happy about the first part, but this part unfortunately like was cannibalizing all our improvements. And basically like, as you can see, like this eCPM change was kind of drastic, and at ARPDAO uplift was just like a little. So that's why we decided that maybe like further rewarded video optimizations might be not very good direction. That's why we're thinking about some kind of alternative ways of getting more revenue. So we are using like currently as the main mediation iron source. So it was like pretty easy choice to go with the interstitials. So yeah, I will tell how we did it. So first of all, just the short intro for anyone if not aware. What are the interstitials? So I would like describe them with the three phrases. So first, they are like system initiated, not by users, so they can like pop up any time in the game, no matter if the user wants it or not. The second is the full screen, like rewarded video, for example, and the third is skippable. So interstitial doesn't need to be skippable, but in our case, we wanted to keep like the at least acceptable UX for the users. So yeah, so these are like interstitials. And when it comes to the putting interstitials in the game, we had like two main principles. So the first principle is kind of analogy to the full screen ads in newspaper. So when the user reads the content in newspaper, then he switches to next page, he sees the full screen ad, then he switches to another page. So basically like interstitials in the games work with the same logic, which means that after consuming some part of content, user displays interstitial, then he closes it, and then he can continue his gameplay. So this is it. And the second principle is that we wanted to put rewarded video always over interstitials. So if we can use somehow interstitials to push rewarded video, we do that. So I will explain that a little bit later on the example. Okay, so let's go into the placements. So this is the screen which user sees after buying in-game property, in-game content. And in this case, there is kind of time gate. We call it like paperwork, and the user has the options to skip the time gate, or he can just close the window and he can wait until the time gate is completed. So in this case, we display interstitial depending on the user decision. So if the user decides to spend hard currency, skip the time gate, we do not show interstitial because this is like desired action from our perspective because user spending hard currency. And in other case, this is the perfect moment to display interstitial. Let's go to another placement is the level up screen. So basically, this is the screen when the user sees after a level up, and in this screen he can claim the reward, or he can watch rewarded video in order to get double reward. And here we do that in that way that no matter on the action he will see the ad. So so we kind of pushing that okay, it's better to watch rewarded video because if you do not watch it, you will see the ad anyway. So so it's kind of better choice to watch rewarded video here. There's another placement which having the same logic. User can watch rewarded video to get some reward, or he can close the screen, and again we display either rewarded video or interstitial. So this is like about placements. Another like important thing when it comes to the implementation interstitials is remote config. It's basically must have. So for our case, we've been using Google Firebase. It was like pretty easy for implementation, and actually it worked also like pretty good. So basically, like there are like standard parameters describing if the interstitial is enabled or disabled, when we start displaying interstitials, how often we display interstitials, and some kind of placement specific parameters. So basically there is like one important parameter, and for our case basically it was crucial parameter. It's called interstitial max RV session, and this is like kind of parameter combining interstitials and rewarded video. So basically this means that if the parameter is set to 1, then if the user in given session watches one rewarded video, we don't display interstitials. So this is just example, but later on it was like crucial for the A/B testing. So let's go further. Yeah, another part is the segmentation. So basically we defined 3 big segments. So the first one is the pairs. So for pairs, we decided to not display interstitials at all, as we have like a lot of IIPs, so better do not touch them. And then we have like two more placement segments, which is like non-pairs, old and new. So we made this distinction for new users, new non-pairs and all non-pairs, on the like special purpose, because like our game is community driven. So we've decided to be like pretty cautious about old users to avoid some kind of community backlash after adding interstitials. So we've been like more careful with the testing for the old non-payers segment. So this is about segments. And another part, so the introduction of the interstitial into the game was done via A/B testing. So we had like 4 basically big A/B tests, 2 for Android, 2 for iOS, for old and new non-payers. And for each of them, we had like few variants. So the basic variant was without interstitials. There was another variant excluding any rewarded video watchers, another excluding regularly rewarded video watchers, and there was like the most intrusive one, and also like the early intrusive one, which is like, you know, introducing interstitial even earlier. So yeah, so this is like the number reflection of what I described with words. So this was the config for A/B tests to be tested. Yeah. Okay, so now it's time for outcome. What we achieved. Yeah, so let's start with the A/B test results. So this is the first test for the new non-payers. So for these users, we were looking at the early retention rate, and also like for number of rewarded video watched, and total number of ad impressions, which was primary metric for the determining the winner in the A/B test. So here's the result for the Android. Surprisingly, here the winner was the early intrusive variant. So for the retention rates, they are not percentage point, they are relative changes with compared to default variant. So basically, like for early intrusive version, there wasn't like significant but impact for retention, so it was like acceptable. It was slightly better rewarded video impression, and total number of ad impressions was 43% higher. So it was like very surprisingly well. Another part is iOS. So for iOS, we have different result. So the better performance is for regular version. Again, no impact for retention, actually no impact for rewarded video, and 40% increase in total ad impressions. So here the results for new non-payers were like pretty promising. The second group, old non-payers, so here we weren't looking at the retention because there were existing players. So here we were looking only rewarded video at total number of impressions. Later on, we've been also checking churn rate, but not including that here. So here's the Android. It's not that spectacular as the previous one, but still we've been able to generate some uplift here in the impressions. And for iOS, it looks better. And again, the like lighter version is the winning one. So for iOS we had like 16% improvement. So yeah, this is like interesting learning, interesting finding that even like I was like pretty surprised, despite the fact that I've seen like a lot of eCPMs in different spaces, that in this chart we can say eCPM, and basically blue line is interstitial and red line is rewarded video. And actually, like, yeah, it's not a mistake, and the blue line is higher, and the interstitial eCPM was 40% higher than rewarded video. So this is like kind of specific case, our case, but it can be useful for future. If, for example, you have like a lot of rewarded video impressions, implementing other format can work pretty well in terms of revenue per impression. So yeah, interesting thing about the Firebase, Google Analytics audiences. You can like create the audience there for the specific campaign for the Google Ads based on the campaign ID. And there's like pretty cool application for it, that having the remote config for interstitials, we can use it like, for example, when we have like campaign for kind of CPA for tier 1 market, we know that we are like focused more on the IAP for such group, then we disable interstitials for them. And on other side, we can have some CPA campaign for some low tier market, and for them we can like even like put as many interstitials as we can. So yeah, it's brutal, but it works. Yeah, another thing that's I personally undervalued is the players' feedback. So we've been collecting the feedback via Discord, via community, via store reviews. So of course, like the feedback wasn't like very good. Like the feedback mentioning the interstitials, like like I've never seen the review like telling that, oh, finally interstitials. Yeah, and I was like mostly thinking about these comments that I don't need to read them. Like they are complaining, is normal. But actually, like after we've been like digging into them, we found out that it helped us to notice like 2 bugs, and what one like, let's say, group of advertising that was like kind of hard to close, because like some interstitial are 5 seconds, but actually they are not 5, because like they're like 3 times you need to click it to close it. So it's actually 20 seconds or something like that. So that's why I was like also like learning for me that the user feedback can be very useful in this area. Okay, so let's go to the final results for the AdArb DAO. So basically for new non-payers, the uplift was 36%. For iOS, it was 33%. So the revenue share of voice for interstitials was about 20%. So basically, according to that, also the rewarded video performance increased a little bit. When it comes to the other group, it's not that huge, I would say. For Android is 10 and iOS is 19, and the share of voice for interstitial is 10. However, taking into consideration the fact that our previous actions we've been like doing a lot, and they were like giving us a very small uplift, that even like 10% uplift was like very valuable for us. So yeah, let's go to key takeaways to sum up my presentation. So the first one is that what we saw in our A/B tests for both variants, the intrusive version won for Android. So there is this conclusion that Android users tend to be more tolerant to interstitials. And the second is that what we've seen also, that interstitial do need to impact retention in a negative way. Third, what we are very happy about it, that interstitial can improve rewarded video performance. So that's kind of good. Also, like kind of specific learning that if you are doing kind of estimation, if it's like worth to integrate interstitials, that even like interstitial can have like very good performance in some cases. And last but not least, that players' feedback in the advertising area, especially, might be undervalued, since I believe if someone like doing like some testing in the advertising, it's like pretty hard to test everything because like the adverts behaves in different way in different geos, different devices. So I believe like most of the developers cannot test it like 100%. So yeah, so this is it from me.